Welcome to Conversations on the Couch, episode 10. Yes, episode 10 already.
Episode 10.
I'm kind of feeling a little bit away.
Why, Dr. T?
Because you're episode 10 and we're now on the couch.
Why is that, Dr. L?
Because he's really busy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so I am here with Doctors Lucretia D. Andrews and Dr. Tirrell Andrews, owners of Peaceway Counseling and Mediation Services. Love them so much.
Oh, we love you too.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to get started. Obviously, if you are a native or a resident of Valdosta, Georgia, obviously you run into these two somewhere, or you may know them from the business that they do in the community. There is not a soul that I've met so far since I've been back that does not speak highly of the work that you all do and how you leave such a great impression on individuals that have been in your company or that have been here to receive services from you. So thank you all so much for what you do. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, not just for the people, but working with you guys alongside you with strengthening families and then just interning here as well. I get to see what great work you do and how passionate you are about it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Y'all inspire me every day, every
week. That is our goal.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get started. So my first question, can you tell us about how you both met and the journey that led you to starting a counseling firm together?
Okay. Well, we met at VSU, Valdosta State. It was Valdosta State College at the time.
Okay.
And then it changed over to Valdosta State University, but we were there in our undergrad studies. I came in 93.
Okay.
Dr. T came in 92. We met, we were friends. Just kind of, he and his roommate would go around to different dorms, loving to challenge people in a game of spades.
Okay.
And so we met, just had friends, and then we had several classes together. We would study together, you know. He would try to copy off my papers.
No,
stuff
that
like
part
that.
is not accurate.
But, so you know, we were friends, and so we knew each other 2 years, and then started dating. And then a year we were engaged. He asked me to marry him, and then in 98 we married, and the rest is history.
Nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What can you add to that, Dr. T? What was the motivation? So obviously you all already knew that you both would be entering this field of mental health and wellness and improving communities. But what was the grand idea? Like, did you know that right away, or how did we get to Peaceway?
Well, for me, I always wanted to be a counselor.
Okay.
And it started out to two things. I was either going to be something like a physical therapist, sports medicine, or either counselor.
Okay.
And I ended up deciding on counseling because one of the things was that I was a football player in undergrad. Okay. And part of the sports medicine program was that you had to intern with a sport for a whole year. And I couldn't do that and actually play football.
Okay.
And so if I did do that, that means I was going to prolong my undergrad into about 2 years. And so it made it easier for me to actually just make sure I select counseling.
Okay.
And so I started out with counseling undergrad and criminal justice because I didn't really have a clear idea about how to become a counselor. And so criminal justice was what I actually initially started in. So that's how we met, because both of us are criminal justice.
That's okay. That's what I was going to say.
And I didn't want to be a counselor. I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Oh,
You know, I was ready to take some people down. I wanted to do that. So then I was not accepted into the academy at that time. I didn't weigh enough. Right? I beat that goal now. I weigh more than enough. But so that changed my pattern, you know, kind of thinking, because now that I didn't get accepted into the academy, what now do I do? And so then Tirrell, of course, already knowing that he wanted to do counseling, he said, well, why don't you think about counseling? And we can do that, you know, together. I was like, yeah, that might work. Okay. So
then I got more information around what it takes to be a counselor. And so that's how we made sure we had to get into graduate program, master's program. Because as you know, you can't be a counselor without a legitimate counselor without a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up going into the master's in sociology program, master's sociology. And at that time, they didn't have the actual marriage and family therapy master's. Mm-hmm. It was not until we were probably about halfway done with the master's in family sociology that they added the actual full master's in marriage and family therapy.
Okay.
And so we ended up getting both master's degrees in family sociology and marriage and family therapy. Before they actually had the master's degree in marriage family therapy, they had this track that was the Masters in Family Sociology, and Dr. Curtis would do a postmasters, 500 hours, 1,000 hours of MFT training for people who wanted to be MFTs.
Okay.
And so you would do that track in order to become a licensed management therapist. So probably right about 99, 2000, we had the MFT master's degree that was established. So we ended up getting the Masters in Family Sociology and the master's degree in management therapy.
Okay. And so, because I'm literally trying to take myself into that moment with you all. Were you excited? Were you like, hey, this is a new opportunity, we can dive into that? What was that moment like when you realized there were some new doors that were being opened for you all in that field?
A lot of excitement because we really were. I was working as a probation officer, and right after we got married, actually, right when we got married, and I was working as a probation officer. And my ultimate goal was still to be a counselor. So while I was working at probation, we would work from 8 to 5, 9 to 5. And then 5 o'clock, 5:30, we have classes. We have master graduate program classes until 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And but it was a lot of excitement because we had a lot of good cohort participants with us that actually had good ambitions, were good students, and we kind of fed off each other. Lucretia and I always fed off each other because we always competed with grades, even in undergrad. And by the way, I have the highest GPA.
Well, that's not a surprise to me.
It's not true though. It's not
Okay.
The highest GPA in grad school as well as doctoral school. Now undergrad, I give it to her. She had the highest GPA in undergrad because I was so involved with football that it consumed so much of my time. I couldn't put all of the studies.
That's the reason.
But we had a lot of excitement going into the master's program because we were excited about what was to come. Because we actually had a vision of being able to work with people and individuals and families to try to make a difference. So going through that process was very exciting. Because and also the information we're learning, and MFT program, no knock against the social work program or LPC program. It's about systemic thinking.
Yes.
And so that systemic thinking then now challenges you to think in a different way that's not linear, and it helps you be able to understand the whole entire family, whole system, and take that into consideration. So all of that played into the excitement as well.
Yeah. Because we were learning, we were seeing how families work, dynamics, and it was just, and then we were thinking like we could see ourselves doing it.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting.
And I think that's so interesting. That's literally a full circle moment for you guys to be over the Strengthening Families program.
Yeah.
Because you already know, you have the history, the research, the time spent in the field to see how this can benefit families.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
I love that.
Yeah.
I learned something new too in this process because I didn't know that you used to work for DFAC.
Yes.
I don't know.
That was my first job.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You couldn't have. I don't remember.
I
would remember that.
I know about a year was my first job.
Okay.
I don't know who was happier when she left DFAC.
It was stressful.
Because it was so much stress on it.
Very stressful.
Yes.
But we made it.
But great experience.
Great experience.
Yes.
I don't take anything that I learned from there for granted because it was another time for me to learn and kind of see how systems work. And now I understand how that system works. And the whole time too, I think for me was everything that I was going through, like even the stressful moments were things that kind of built me to get to here because it's stressful. Yes, it's successful, but it's also stressful. And you have to know how to deal with it or else it'll consume.
It'll take you down.
It'll consume.
And so
I know firsthand.
if you can survive the DFAC.
If you can survive
DFAC. Anywhere.
You got it. Like that's on New York. You
literally.
You're all right.
Yes. I think it really is like a bridgeway into this entire field and just understanding the importance of families and systems and how they all impact individuals.
That's right.
So, that's for sure. All right, awesome. Now, how do you balance your personal and professional lives as a married couple who actually work together every day?
Yeah, I love it. We And the funny thing about it is we work together every day, but our schedules are so busy. Sometimes I was like, y'all see another thing? He went quiet. So he's so busy, I'm busy, but yet we do have those moments when we can kind of pass each other and say, hey, what's going on? And then when we get home, you know, we talk, we have our moment, we are able to just kind of talk about our day and understand our day and support each other. And then we have moments where we plan, hey, where are we going to go? Where's our trip to next? And so we take that time to unwind and to unplug and just let it be about Tirrell and Lucretia.
I love that. And I've seen y'all sneak in a couple of lunches together here and there.
Yes.
Come in here and eat.
Yes,
I love that.
we try to do lunch together most days.
Yeah.
Most days, depending upon our schedule, but we try to do that. And then also, huge workout person. So we're going to do workout together.
Okay.
Early mornings.
Early morning. It's going to be early morning, probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And that's personal care time.
Yeah.
And then also getting out, like traveling, doing some stuff,
Okay.
you know, periodically through the course of the year.
I love
Try
that.
to do something about every quarter, at least something quarterly.
That's good. Because I was going to say, I think you guys probably need more time off.
Mm-hmm.
I would
travel.
agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But when that's the other thing, when you're running your own business,
Bless you.
Thank you.
it's hard because when you don't have people to show up, you have to be the one to show up. So it's not like you working for somebody else and you just take that time off and you just gone.
Right.
We still have to be mindful that although we're away, this is still our business. So like if something does go wrong, we're the first ones to call. So we still have to be accessible to some degree.
Correct.
But what we do appreciate is our staff, because they try their best to manage and handle things without calling us.
Yes.
And then if they call us, then that means that they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that.
Awesome. And you obviously vet well because you got some great people on staff.
Yes, ma'am.
And we appreciate our staff.
For sure. You want to say something, Dr. T?
Yeah, then also Fridays, we try to make sure Friday is kind of like our night too, like date night / activity night. Even if we're not going anywhere, like out of town or anything like that.
Yeah.
So football season certainly is going to be football time.
He loves football.
But non-football is still going to be something we're going to do something where it's a basketball game or whether it's a just dinner.
Anything. I know when we first got married, one of the things, I love being with him. So that's one of the things we say is that when you like the person, not just love, but when you like the person, just riding to the store is all right with me. You know, you get ready to ride to the store, let me ride with you. You know, so anything we can do to kind of have that time, we love it.
I love that,
Yeah.
y'all. So much. All right. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. How do you stay current with developments in the field of mental health and counseling? And how do you incorporate the knowledge that you do get into your practice?
How we stay current is really through the continuing education hours that we have to do every 2 years. As a licensed person, that you're going to be experiencing this shortly. But as a licensed person, you have to obtain 35 hours of continuing education hours every 2 years.
Okay.
And we're always renewing on even years in Georgia. And so during that 2-year period of time, you get to select the courses or continuing education classes you want to attend. Now, some of them are outlined in your licensed curriculum guidelines, but there are also some autonomy for you to actually take some of the classes that you want to take as well. Something that's really kind of really taking off a lot of buzz now is really trauma stuff, stuff around trauma. Now what you're seeing some stuff around, you know, the idea of gaslighting and how to deal with gaslighting and narcissistic personality. Those are some things that are buzzwords that a lot of people are getting a lot of trauma training and narcissistic and gaslighting type trainings.
We hear a lot about those things nowadays.
We do. And with our certifications, because we carry other certifications, not just our licensure, they offer trainings as well.
Correct.
So we are always getting and receiving some type of training to help us with substance abuse, domestic violence, anger management, parenting, trauma, and even sex offender, because that's what population that Dr. T works with.
Okay.
So we're always receiving training.
Okay. I have a question that's not on my list of questions. Sometimes when I'm teaching the teens in the Strength in the Families program, and this kind of goes along with the question about staying current with all the developments, but as the world changes and people change and parenting changes, what is it? Do you have hope that our field of practice is going to help improve some of these circumstances and ways of thinking? Because sometimes while I'm in the midst of teaching class, I'm like, I don't know. It's not necessarily not knowing how to get through to the kids. It just seems like we have so much working against us. Because there's so much that's feeding into their minds, and it's like, how do we combat the way the world is changing, the way people are changing, and still hope for a better outcome?
Yeah, I view our profession as one of our main goals as clinicians, licensed clinicians, is that we're professional hope givers. We have to give hope, and we have to be a barrier of hope when and nobody else is. If you're not a barrier of hope as a clinician, you may need to look at changing professions. And so that hope for me and any kind of clinician that I train as far as under supervision is always going to be something that I expect for them to do and encourage them to do, regardless of what the world turns is happening. And but I think what's also important in that is that you have to get the family involved, because when we look at it, when clients come to us for treatment, they're with us typically an hour a week. Now that's an hour a week,
right?
Compared to all the other hours in a week. Well, you can even look at the hours in a day. There's 24 hours in a day. You know, that's 23 hours in that particular day that they have that they exposed to something else.
Correct.
Minus the time that they sleep, assuming that they do sleep. But you see what I'm saying? The ratio is, really small compared to the time we have with them. But that we still have to make sure that we then try to get the family involved, that then now they start to engage in these ideas and ways of thinking that we're trying to incorporate into the family. So they spend the most time, or at least they should be the people that spend the most time with the kids, that they now can then start saying similar stuff or having similar ideas that we're trying to develop that's healthy for the family, and healthy for the community, healthy for the individual. And if they're saying those things, then now we start to spread our hope from just being us giving the hope to the family also giving the hope.
And I'd love to add to what Dr. T is saying, because I also like the part in the Bible where he says, one will, be the one who plants the seed, and then someone will come along and water it, right? So I like to think that sometimes we're planters. In addition to, hope dealers, we're planters too. Because sometimes it'll be what you say, and it may not seem like you're saying, the right thing, or it's not getting to them like you want it to. But somebody's going to come along, hopefully, and water that seed that you planted. Yeah. So if you just kind of focus on that seed planting and just doing that, sometimes you'll feel like, okay, I'm going to be a part of the process. Right. And one day I'll be able to see that something took hold and somebody watered it and it grew and they got it and it connected. Yes. Because sometimes, a lot of times when I think about growing up, a lot of times stuff I heard then, it didn't make sense to me and register to me
until you started living a little bit.
Until I started living a little bit. It's like,
why
would grandmama say that?
Right.
But it makes so much sense to me now. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Now we got to also make sure that in as a therapist and looking at the structure of therapists, is that along the lines of what Dr. L is saying there is the therapist has to always remember what the role in the change process is.
That's good.
The role in the change process is not to make people change. We can't make anybody change.
Note to self.
Yeah. And then we have to also then now look at how we're measuring success. Sometimes we can project our stuff onto what we think is success for the client. And really success may be they make movements from smoking 5 blunts to smoking 2 or 1.
Yeah. That's good.
Now, of course, if we get some other agency involvement, their ultimate goal is to try to get them down to 0, and that's what we want to do too. But we also can't negate the fact that then now they move from 5 to 2, and then we're going to try to move from 2 to 0.
So just being realistic.
So making sure that the therapist understands what their role in the change process is, and they don't start having expectations of themselves that's not really realistic and fits with the therapeutic structure.
Because that will lead you to burn out a lot quicker. Because you're trying to operate. You're trying to function in places where you're not supposed to.
I think that's part of where I need some improvement because even in the work that I do with defects, I get really involved in wanting to see change. I get frustrated when I don't.
That part of that is good.
It is.
And then now you got to also look at, okay, in this whole process, what's my role as the case manager?
Right.
What's my role? And then now, how am I functioning in that role? And then that understanding that I can't make anybody do anything. I can give them the tools, I can give them exposure. You probably remember hearing this growing up, that you can lead the horse to the water.
But you can't make it.
But you can't make it.
It's true. It's true. Because I definitely get way too involved because I'm like, all you got to do is, and it's draining. You just got to give them the information, and that's it. And let them do what they want to do.
That's right.
And encourage them to do the best thing.
Right.
But then now understanding that ultimately they have to make the choice to decide how they want to use it. Sometimes it may not happen during that time period that we think it should happen, or even during the time period that they're working with us. And then maybe the connection happens later.
Yes.
Later. Yeah. Because we have had stories of later successes where we see people, it'd be years later. Because, we've been doing this we've been married 27 years, right? So 28 years in June. But we've been doing this for at least 25 years. And so we are seeing people still now today that we've worked with when we were just starting out as a probation officer or just starting out as a social worker. And they was like, I remember what you said to me.
Wow.
Some 20-some odd years ago. I'm like, I'm so glad this, like it connected for you.
Right.
But that was 20-some years ago. So it does happen. Okay. It does happen.
So I'll keep the hope.
Yeah, keep the hope. You have to hold on to that.
And remember what your role is.
And remember what your role is in the change process.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How do you prioritize self-care and maintain a healthy work-life balance while running a successful business? I know you said you try to travel at least every quarter if you can, but how do you make sure that you prioritize self-care individually and collectively?
You have to be intentional, at least from how I see it. You have to be intentional about doing it. Yeah. Is that, okay, you know that your business is vitally important. It's your baby. It's our baby. You got to take care of it. Yeah. But also you have to understand that I can't take care of my business efficiently if I don't take care of myself. That's true. And so then now I got to take care of myself, and you got to do the things that then now helps you therapeutically. That's really therapeutic for you. And so whether that's jogging, whether that's running, whether that's meditation, whether that's whatever, then you got to be intentional about doing. You got to put it inside of your schedule. For me, it's in my schedule every single day. It's a part of our routine. Okay. Our bishop preached today about being careful when you're praying and you're depressed, like in a depressed place. And one of the points he made about if you meet a person who's successful, if you talk to them, they have patterns. They have a routine. And we live by routine. We really live by routine. So that from getting up, going to the gym, getting our day started, coming in here, then afterward, what are we doing? And so routine, everything is a routine. So the working out in the morning time, that's our routine. So we get a little bit of that because not only are we focusing on our physical health, but we also are focusing on our mental and our spiritual. Because we pray together, we worship together, we study the Bible. So we do all these things, and then individually, like I love to go get massages. He loves to go get massages. I'll do a spa day, and we love to eat. We're foodies, so we get a good meal. We good. We satisfied. So it's just those things that we take time out to just enjoy, and really be, connected, right? And really just enjoy life, and then also enjoy each other, enjoy our marriage, and also enjoy the business too. And so it's good to kind of reflect and see where the business has grown from. Reflect and see where we've grown from those, young teenagers in 1993 meeting in Rhode State. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see exactly how far, Peaceway goes and all the things that are to come. Yeah, we're so excited because, this is year 19 for Peaceway. Okay. We were just having a conversation about celebrating the 20th year mark. Because, somebody said we couldn't do it. Well, listen. So many people,
But look at God. You know, that's what we say. Look at God. This is God's business. And so we want to celebrate too, because we know that there's so much more God has for Peaceway. So much more that God has for us. And we're excited. We want to see, and the people that come, you know, the people that we interface with. When I tell you, it's amazing to know that we've touched as many lives as we have in these 20-some odd years. It's just like, wow. Yeah. I never am like too above. You know, I'm always humble.
All things working together.
Yes. I'm always humble.
And we know that all things work together
for the good, regardless of what challenges we face. Because we face some now. Let me not make you think it's so easy. Right. But we have faced our challenges. We've met them from racism to discrimination. You know, like we face sexism for me. Like we faced a lot of different challenges, but yet God. Yeah. So when we look at what He has done, we're humble and we're excited even still because we know that there is something. You know, the latter will be greater, right? That rings in our head when we think about it, because we know that this was just the inkling, you know, like just the beginning. There's so much more to come, so much more.
Absolutely. And I love that you are not only okay with, but encourage incorporating faith into your business practices.
Absolutely.
Because not all businesses of this nature do that.
That's nowadays. Right. That's right.
You all stay true to that, and I just think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Can you share, well, let me go back. What are some key values or principles that guide your work and relationship, both personally and professionally? So key values or principles that guide you.
Well, spiritually, God, certainly that, faith, and knowing that we both of us stand on the same principle.
Integrity.
Yes.
Trust.
Yes.
Making sure you treat people like they're people, regardless of how they present, what they look like, how tall they are, how short they are, how brown they are, how light they are, whatever they are. Right. But we treat people like they're people, regardless of how many offenses they have, regardless of how many previous diagnoses they have, mental health diagnosis. It doesn't matter. That we treat people and understand
like they're people.
Like they're people. You know, you show them unconditional positive regard. Yes. You show them kindness.
Yeah. Compassion. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really what they do. Like literally, I've seen it in the classes. I've seen it in, you know, because you have people from all walks of life that come into these classes, and they're just trying to, you know, do what they need to do to get finished, but they get a dose of reality, obviously. But also some wisdom and faith to keep them going on their journey. So I love that. I've never seen y'all treat anybody different, no matter who it was.
That's right. That's right.
So those are some of our values. Professionalism is top of the list.
I'm trying to just help people.
And I would say one of them that I would add is being down to earth. And funny. You gotta be humorous and get fun. He's gonna make you laugh.
And it's so funny because some people who don't really know him think he's scary. He's so serious. I don't know. You know, but I say he is silly. He is silly. But just being touchable, you know, like we love that people can come up to us and get a hug, or because I love hugging, you know, so they can just touch us. We're touchable, relatable. So that's important to us because we don't, you know, we want people to know that we brother and sister. You know, I care about what happens to you. You're not just a number or a check or a payment or whatever. You are a person. I want your life to be beautiful. I want your story to end on a beautiful note. That matters to us.
Absolutely.
Seeing you come in one way and then actually at the end you're a different way. That means a lot. And so we like our role in assisting in that process.
We love it.
And so so that's what we're all about. And we believe that everybody can change, regardless of what you're presenting with. You can change as long as you bring forth the willingness to want
to change.
And they all walk away with something. I've had, or I can't say all, obviously, but I've had the pleasure of sitting in on classes where people that's their last one. And I always ask, what's your takeaway from this whole process? And they always have something good to say. They always have something encouraging that says, if I had not gone through this,
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have the information. Like they are locking it in.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one person to come in and not gain something that they can use later on.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
we love.
All right. Can you share any tips or strategies for maintaining a strong and healthy marriage while also running a successful business together?
Yes.
Make sure that you have balance.
Okay.
Yes.
You gotta have balance
Gotta
between
have.
with your business, whatever business that is, and your relationship.
And you're like,
And you gotta make sure you have boundaries.
Mhm.
I think you always have to determine, from my vantage point, is that you always have to determine that it's worth it, and that the relationship is worth it, that the sacrifices that I'm making are worth it, the business is worth it. I gotta make sure I understand that those things are worth it. And for me, it always has to be the understanding that the spiritual principles around things, that then now, because of the spiritual principles that I live by and stand on and that I believe in, that governs how I move as it relates to the relationship, as it relates to other people, even as it relates to business-wise. So even if I don't go around and quote a scripture, but I'm moving based upon biblical principles without ever having to, forecast and weigh and say that this is the scripture here, because sometimes when you actually do that, sometimes it walls people out.
Oh yeah.
And so then now, by doing that in a more discreet way, subtle way, then now it gets you to be able to have that person's buy-in, and then now you have the ability to be able to sit down with them, have an own individual conversation.
Yes.
So now we can go deeper into
And they can then see, like, oh, how do you get to be this way, right? Like, you're so positive all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
He's very positive. Like,
Oh, I know. How you doing, Dr. T?
Terrific.
You gonna lay it
amazing,
out.
Outstanding, optimistic, motivated, encouraged.
Every time.
So blessed they can be at least.
My
At
God.
least two.
But he is. I've learned a lot from him in our years together, because he is that positive person. And so, what I appreciate about him is that he helps me to see life a different way, and I feel like I'm better because of that. And so, there are things and times when we disagree, but we're never disagreeable.
Right.
So that means, like, he's helping me learn, I'm helping him learn. He's showing me a different way of thinking. I'm showing him a different way of thinking. What we feel like we don't have in ourselves, I find it in him, or he can find it in me. So that's kind of where we balance. And even though we are very different in our thinking, we never feel disrespected by each other because we're different in our thinking.
Gotcha.
And that's important.
So you can appreciate each other.
That's right.
Appreciate the differences.
That's right.
And I have a principle that I live on, that we operate on in the relationship. I even talk about it with my clients.
Okay.
Is that principle is you're going to speak without being offensive.
Okay.
You want to listen without being defensive,
Okay.
and you always want to leave the other person with their dignity.
Okay.
Speak without being offensive.
Speak without being offensive.
Listen without being defensive.
Listen without being defensive.
And always leave the other person with their dignity.
And always leave the other person. I need work in that area now. Let me just tell you. So thank you.
It's good. And because of that, that's the principle. I mean, even before he adapted that to how he operates, he modeled that. Like, in our entire time of being together, that's what he models. And so it just makes it easier. So even though we know there'll be times when we disagree, or have intense moments of fellowship. That's what we like to say. That's what we like to call it. Intense moments of fellowship. We are learning from each other.
Right.
We're still learning from something from that help us grow.
Okay.
Right.
And
And
be
be better. You said it. See, sometimes he finishes
Yeah,
my sentence.
She does me the same way.
And I do the same thing.
I love it.
And he'll say something, I'll be like, well, I was just thinking about that. How did you get in my head? But it's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
You guys have been I've thrown you into a few conversations in the past before, because it's often said that it's impossible for women who are successful and who are motivated and driven to find their equal. And while you two came into this thing together, it's still an amazing thing to see how you guys how you guys work together and how you build together and how you just kind of bounce ideas off of one another, and I just love it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yes, I love the fact that I can literally see the respect that flows from one to the other. I love that I can see how much you love his positivity and you're inspired by him, and vice versa.
Thank you. We love you too.
So how do you ensure that your counseling and mediation services are inclusive and accessible to all members of your community?
I think it kind of goes into what we were saying earlier is looking at people as people, and regardless of what they're presenting with, how they get to you, just treating them like they're people, letting them know that they have value, letting them know that we believe that they can actually change, and that you walk through these doors, or even if you don't walk through the doors and we see you in the community, we treat you like you are, like you have value.
And they're comfortable. Like the clients are so comfortable with you all, and happy to see you, and you know, all the things. And if they think you're about to get on something, they be like, all right, I already know what you're
right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We definitely love making people feel like they matter. It was so funny. We were in a restaurant, and we, like I said, we were out in the community a lot. We went to a particular restaurant, hadn't seen a client that works there in years, and she was standing at the register. She stopped checking the people out and came and gave us a hug, and then she went back to us. I'm sorry, I love them. I had to go. You know, so it's just like that type of reception that we get. It helps us to know that we do care about it, and it doesn't matter your age, your race, you know, nothing. We treat you like you are a human, a person, and that really makes us feel good. Just to know that, and so even also with Tirrell, he's always thinking about what people need. So like if he knows of a lack or a service or something that, you know, he kind of pays attention to what's going on around, he's like, maybe we can provide that. We could do that. But you know, he was like, I noticed that there's not service for this. Let's provide that. That's how he came about to do his certification for sex offenders. Because he was like, that's a population that people really trying to work with, and trying to provide a service for.
It's needed.
But it's needed. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, you know, I would cheer him on, even though there are certain things I was like, I can't do that. You know,
working with that
I pray for them, right? Like I pray for them because I know that they have a need. But I know my heart, like I can't. I'm so sensitive, right?
I understand.
I'd be just crying. I just would have a heart.
I would struggle with that.
So Dr. T, you know,
again, I was about to call on you.
He'll call on you. He'll pull you in. But he saw that. He saw that need, and he said, I want to work with them. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to provide a service for them because they need to. And, you know, with people being very selective about, you know, servicing them, he saw that he could do it. And I said, well, good for you.
I think that's necessary in this field. Like one of the things that when I got here and even before, one of the reasons why I wanted to get into this field was because I see need for things in the community. And I'm like, somebody need, like, for instance, with the Performing Arts Academy, I see that a lot of kids don't have things to do. Positive things. So, I don't know how far off it is, but I love that you have that knack about you, and that's inspirational for me because I'm always looking around, especially working for DFAC.
Absolutely.
It's hard not to pay attention.
Right.
To see what, man, this is a need. This is something that's reoccurring in the community. So, awesome. Okay. Can you share a specific community service project that your firm has been involved in and the impact that it's had on our community?
Okay. I will say, like, it's several. We do the scholarship program during Black History Month. We help with that. As a part of several different businesses, but we participate with that. We sponsor and are contributors to the Copeland African American Museum at VSU campus. We do back to school fairs. We do, just like during Christmas time, we do families where we'll get a family and host them or provide their Christmas. We've done that through LAMP for a number of years. And we do Thanksgiving giveaways. So any opportunity, and then we have a friend who was a coach at Valdosta High,
Okay.
Coach Wilcox, and so
And that's also at
at Lounge,
Coach Benjamin.
Coach Benjamin, and so we give them whatever they're in need of to help support their teams.
Awesome.
So
because you're not from here, they don't care
No,
if you're a Wildcat or a
Macon.
Viking. Okay. So Wildcats
no, we don't
all
care.
day though.
Yeah, but we
So they know.
support both.
We support
Wow.
both.
We support both.
And we like to see good competition.
Good competition.
Good competition.
All right. Well, I love that so much.
And good sportsmanship. Definitely.
Yes, because that's important. But I am a Wildcat all day.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Okay,
We're
love
season
it.
two.
We're season ticket holders for the Wildcats. I guess you can say that.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. And how do you collaborate? And you kind of talked about it already.
Mhm.
But how do you collaborate with other local organizations or businesses to address community needs and provide support to those in need?
We work in conjunction with the Department of Juvenile Justice. This is just some of them. I know I'm going to miss some of the names, but Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Family and Children Services, Lowndes County Court System, whether that's Superior Court, State Court, or Municipal Court. We work in collaboration with them.
District Attorney's Office.
District Attorney's Office, the Department of Community Supervision. So we work in collaboration with them all the time. And so there's constant communication that's happening throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. And so we're constantly calling each other, emailing each other, even in some cases where there may be some meeting, whether that's virtually or either in person. We also are part of the task force, the Domestic Violence Task Force, so we participate in that as well. So that's how we kind of stay in contact with. It's important to stay in contact with the referral sources that you have.
Yes.
So that when you're communicating about the clients, but you're also communicating about what's working. You're communicating about what need there is, and also communicating about some area that we may need to pay attention to. And so that's on both ends. So those things are happening all the time.
And every school, whether it's in the county or the city school system, we know people in the schools. And so we collaborate with them if there is a need for a student or anything that they may have need of in terms of counseling.
Okay.
We communicate and collaborate in that way as well.
Yeah, because we work with the school system as well, whether it's the Lanier County School, Berrien County School, Lowndes County Schools, Valdosta City Schools. So we work in conjunction with talking with those school social workers and
Or going to the schools
counselors.
and participating in health fairs, career fairs,
stuff like that.
or just sending a therapist, because maybe we've had a couple of calls at one point where students may have lost loved ones or friends or peers, and they will see if we have someone that can come to the school to kind of help with grief counseling. So
I remember that we did that
Yeah.
situation before, and I saw one of the kids from that group, and I wanted to say hey to him so bad, but I was like, he's not gonna remember me. Yeah, but okay, awesome. So actually, that makes me want to ask another question. Do you ever think about or foresee Peaceway being in a different community, or is it always going to be Lowndes County?
We've had that. We've done that.
we tried it.
Okay.
We've had an office in Waycross, and we've had an office in Tifton, Ben Hill, Ben Hill County. And those were ventures that were interesting. They were good. Sometimes what ends up happening is that when you're running a business, it's hard to find people that have the same investment that you have in the business. And when you're working in conjunction with Medicaid, Medicare, other court systems, there's things that have to be done in a certain way. And you always have to go through audits and all these other different things. And so you need people in place in those locations that you try to start up that understand the importance of everything that you do, even if they don't think it makes sense. And so in our experience in expanding into those other places, it was hard to find people that had the same level of investment. But I don't want to say same level, because I think it may be unfair for me to expect somebody to have the same level of investment as me, but have a level of investment that made me feel comfortable to say, hey, I can give this over to
This responsibility
over to them. Like Wednesday used to be my travel day. And so one Wednesday I would travel to Waycross, and the next Wednesday I'll travel to Fitzgerald, Tifton area, because we had offices in both those places. And so it just was. I mean, you familiar with Medicaid somewhere? I mean, if you don't do things right, Medicaid way, I mean, they'll close. Right. First of all, you have to pay all these fines, and then and now that's kind of problematic because when they come in and you have to pay fines,
right?
You've already paid the money out because somebody didn't dot their I, cross their T, and then after you've said how many times you need to dot this I and cross the T, and then Medicaid comes in and does the audit, and then you got to pay thousands of dollars, and that doesn't. It doesn't balance out.
Didn't compute that out.
Yeah, so we end up having to close each one of those locations down. But we're always looking for some good men and some good women.
Okay.
That are faithful.
Okay, well,
available.
That we call them fat
and trainable.
fat people.
Faithful,
available,
and trainable. Gotcha.
Yeah, we need those.
All right, love it. Okay, and last but not least, what are your future goals and aspirations for your counseling firm, and how do you plan to continue making a difference in your community?
I would love to be able to see us, at some point, eventually, like what you and Dr. T was just discussing, branch out into and have offices in different places. I would love to be able to see us do that. So that would be something I would love to see.
Yeah, I definitely did do that as well.
Well, if I move back to Atlanta, once I get all licensed up and whatnot,
you don't have to move back to Atlanta, Ms. West. I'm going to put that.
I'd love to have you here.
You don't have to move back to Atlanta to branch out. You don't have to
branch out
to Atlanta.
Branch around.
You can branch right around, right in there.
So many needs here that ain't available. I just don't know.
You can just branch right at 2405.
Good
just
Lord.
saying, Bemis Road.
We'll see about that. I don't know.
Okay.
Because I love Valdosta because Valdosta is my home. I'm just, I try not to talk about it too much because I do already talk about it a lot. But I don't know, it's something different about being up there and having access to things that I think, especially people of color, that we need. We don't have those same things here. And I for me, I'm just always like, I can go and I can hike the mountain on a Saturday or Sunday morning. The air up there is so different. I can go to a Sprouts or a Whole Foods and get what I need, and I can eat well, and I don't have to compromise and just go get whatever because it's right around the corner. Like, those things for me are important, and they have been on my journey to health and wellness. And I'm being honest, since I've been back to Valdosta, I have gained like 25 plus pounds.
Don't blame it on Valdosta.
I'm not. I'm just saying. It's not. It's my fault for several reasons.
That spoon up to
it's not. It's just I don't have. I mean, there are other things that I could do. There are other things I could do. Obviously, I just know that
we can get together
some of
and work a plan.
Okay. Well, we'll have to work a plan then. I'm game. I'm game.
Dr. Ed was talking about the sermon this morning that Bishop preached. One of his points was that Elijah missed the blessing initially because he wasn't in the place that he was supposed to be in.
That's a thing, I'm sure.
He wasn't in the place that he was supposed to be in.
You always gonna get me, Dr.
He wanted to be in another place.
Yeah.
Jonah kind of had a similar problem.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That he wanted to be in another place because he thought that place was more flourishing.
I have definitely been compared to Jonah
Sometimes
a few
what we have to do is make sure that we understand that we can blossom
where we're planted. I don't wanna, but I'm trying to be a big girl about it. Oh, Lord knows. But this has been great.
Thank you.
So y'all know we got to move on to the closing segment.
Okay.
We talked about that.
That sounds like it. It seems like we only been going for 10 minutes.
It's been longer. But so we'll move into our closing segment, and we will have you guys talk about something you're grateful for. So share that with us.
I'm pretty much grateful for everything.
Okay.
Like, and let me bring that back in. I've had a lot of health challenges, and when I was in my 20s and 30s, I never imagined that I would one day have a doctor telling me that if I didn't have heart surgery, I would not be here. You know, and particularly when I lived the right choice life, like exercising, not drinking, smoking, you know, just trying to do everything right. Yet, you know, my heart was still strained. And so when I got that news, it started to change perspective for me. So I turned 50 last year, 51 this year. And so
the day over.
Oh, thank you, baby. But every year, every day, but every year I see another year. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for the sun shining. I'm grateful for the birds singing. I'm grateful that my husband is, you know, easy to talk to. I'm grateful that you love me. Like, it's just the little things that people don't really like pay big attention to. That makes me grateful. You know?
It shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, it shows every time I see you, and I don't think it's just because you love me so much. But I think it's just a part of who you are. To show up as your best self as much as you can, and to give a smile and to say something kind, and even your correction is still gracious and wise. I've seen it with them kids. I've seen it. You're like, so I love that.
So I do. I try to be grateful for everything because there's so many things that happen that aren't easy. And so I feel like we have enough of that we have to struggle through.
Yes.
You know, why not try to look for some sun and some happiness and some joy, you know, and some peace somewhere.
Yes, we need that.
So I'm always grateful for the little things.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
What about you, Dr. T?
I'm grateful, man. I'm trying to think where to start. Okay. But I kind of live on this principle that I think that there's two things that you can obtain in life that nobody can take away from you. And I think these two things help propel you towards success. That's salvation and education.
Love it.
And so I'm actually grateful for salvation. That means I'm grateful for the Trinity, for God, His Son, grateful for the Holy Spirit. I'm grateful for being able to have an opportunity to move through education-wise the way that we did, having, you know, the opportunity to go through bachelor's degree, 2 master's degree, like 3 master's degree for me now, and a doctorate degree. And so just being grateful for the opportunity, grateful for having, you know, just kind of the solid foundation that I grew up with, and that has been, you know, manifest and developing greater as I've grown older. I'm just grateful for the experiences that I've had, both professionally, personally. Grateful for the opportunity to be able to play college football, play football all of my life. I take all of those things that I learned from sports and athletics and actually translate those things into my professional career. So I'm grateful for life and health and strength. And then I can even get into being grateful for not having a car payment. You know,
because that's important. Car payment, no house payment. You know, so
I get into all
that's important.
And to be young and
yes,
19.
Doing that.
Yeah,
My God.
I have a 19th birthday again.
Yeah. Is that right?
Coming up.
How many times did you turn 19, Dr. T?
Come April the 14th, I'll be 19 for the 32nd time. Can you believe that?
I cannot. I've never seen that from before.
Not at all.
It's a great thing. I encourage people to try it. It's really great.
All right. So if you all can now give us a life lesson. You got 60 seconds or less. A life lesson.
A life lesson. Yes. Everything will change. It's up to you to determine how the change will affect you.
Okay. Everything will change. It's up to you to determine how that change will affect you. I love that.
lesson. That's a good one.
It is.
Accept the things that you cannot change.
Mm-hmm.
The courage to change the things that you can change.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss West, make sure you know the wisdom.
Yes.
Have the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in life, what we do is when we look at anger, we look
Mm-hmm.
at stress, we look at hypertension, all those things are oftentimes connected to things that we're trying to control,
Mm-hmm.
that we have no control over.
My goodness.
No control over it
So
all.
true. So true.
You can't control other people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control other things.
No.
The only thing, when I learned this life principle, it just became so much easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, Dr. T, you can't even be my therapist. I'm not on that control piece. He's trying to navigate some stuff.
Well, he's my therapist. I tell you, he's not easy on you.
Oh, I already know.
He's not easy on you.
Becoming very proficient in changing the things that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I can change, and not just me, but every person, the only thing that we can change
That's how you do.
the man in the mirror.
Amen. Amen.
What can you
And
change?
having the courage to do so. That's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
That's important.
That's important.
I want to get up and go to the gym in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the courage to do it.
You do. You're not taking the initiative right now to do it. You just,
That really is the courage.
it's the initiative right now.
Yes, you're correct. Because I lay there and I'm like, maybe tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. We're going to give you a couple text messages and calls in the morning.
Okay.
We'll help
I
you out.
listen. I welcome that. I welcome the accountability because I gotta
Just don't
start
put, don't put us on snooze.
I won't. I won't.
Do
I
not
promise.
disturb.
I won't. It'll be my reason to be like, okay, all right, get up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all ready for this?
Uh-huh.
All right. This is
Oh,
Insight
you ready
Day.
for this?
So you pull one card off the top,
Okay.
and hopefully you're comfortable.
With the card?
Yeah.
If not, I can change it out.
If not, I
can.
can just kind of drop the mic.
You can. If you
I don't have my
want to pick a
glasses.
second one, you can.
I'll read it for you.
I don't have my glasses on. You read it for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How many cards I'm picking up?
It's those nails.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Read that what it say.
What is your best personality trait?
My best personality trait?
Mm-hmm.
I am loyal.
That's a good one.
I think that
I'm loyal to
good
a
one.
fault. When I love you,
Yeah.
I love you.
I love it.
I mean, seriously, like, I will hurt you if you hurt. I will feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I will give you my last. Anything you need, I will do that for you. And I'm not one to do it and be telling everybody.
Right.
Like, I'll do that for you. I will show up for you. And I think that's what hurts sometimes is that I show up for people that don't show up for me.
Yeah.
And that hurts me. But again, I think that goes back to my expectations that people will be me.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And they will not.
Mm-hmm.
So that hurts. So I have to make sure that I don't let people change me.
Right.
Because that's who I am. And I need to just stick with that.
And it may not be who they are.
And it may not be who they are. And I have to accept that.
Because sometimes
right?
people don't even show up for themselves.
That's right.
Yep.
And how can I expect them to show up for me?
Right.
If you can show up for yourself. Okay.
Do you have some other
I got
questions
some other
in there?
questions on there.
Yeah.
What
Is
did
this
you
three
learn?
questions? This is three-part
from-
question this week?
That card it is.
What did you
I'm
learn?
special.
What did you learn from this
The
experience
experience.
or period of time? This period is referring to right now?
Right now,
Oh, let me see.
they
What
got
is your
A and
best
B.
personality trait? What did you learn from this experience or period of time? Makes this very understand above all your other lives. I guess developing. Okay, so the way I understand this, you just talked about your best personality trait being the fact that you're loyalty, that you're loyal. What have you learned from the experience of being this way?
Just like I said,
Yeah.
people won't always show up for you
Okay.
the way you show up for them. And we be disappointed.
Yes.
But it's going to be okay. Because I have to change my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your
All
turn.
right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. It's already. I gotta get
Ms. West did that
I
already.
did.
All right.
We got 3 points too.
When have you felt the lowest in your life?
Oh.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know.
I'm curious to know what this is.
You all in.
I'm
see.
all
You
in.
like, let me see.
I want to hear this.
Bless you ahead of time.
Bless you.
Now, he said, so blessed to be two of me. We done gave you about 5 blessings today.
It's an infinite number.
Yeah.
Infinite number. When I felt my lowest in my life? That's a good question. I try to think in a positive manner, so I'm trying to. I can't. My lowest in my life.
Interesting,
Yeah,
right?
very. I'm so. I'm listening.
I think maybe I don't know if this is the lowest, but I think this was kind of a time that I was disappointed. The MFT exam is probably the most difficult exam there is, and I had to take the exam a couple times, and so there's not a passing score on the not a standard passing score on the MFT exam. It varies based upon who's taking the test in that window with you.
How's that even possible? But go ahead.
Yeah, so in actually missing the test a couple times, I felt pretty discouraged or down for a little while, because I'm not the type of person that actually stays there. And I have a bad moment or a bad hour or something like that. A bad second, and then I'm gonna springboard back to being positive. But if I had to answer that question, I think that's probably one of those times when I actually had to retake the test.
Okay.
Again.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got some other questions on
You want me to answer these, Ms. West?
I do.
When did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about from yourself from the experience? Resilience.
Okay.
Overcoming. That continue to persevere. Then also recognize, and I say recognize, but probably had it reiterated to me, that the impact that you were going to have in the actual field was still going to be the impact. It was so great that it was actually something that now, how are you going to continue to persevere through this obstacle or through this delay? And delay doesn't mean denial.
That's good. It's a good lesson. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have another question on there?
Okay, you want me to answer the third one?
What does the third one say?
What changes have you made in your life because of this experiences? Is really kind of just maintaining that perspective. Okay. That delay doesn't mean denial. That then now, if there's a fault or something that you don't achieve right away, then you reflect on that and to make sure that you learn from it. Like what I did when with not passing the exam the first time was I went to some workshops. And
we took a class.
And we took a class on how to take the exam, because the exam is about book stuff. And then one of the things I think that hurt us when we actually took the exam, we worked in the field 2 years before we took the exam. And that's why I always tell everybody that I supervise now, don't do it that way. As soon as you finish your master's degree, sign up to take the exam, because with the MFT exam, you can do that. And then now you just can't come, if you pass the test, then you have to wait until you get your postmaster's hours. But you don't have to take the test because you already have the test, by the way. I tell them to do it that way because then now theory and the book stuff is fresh on your mind right after the master's program. So once you start working into the field, you find out how things are really done, opposed to what the book said.
An idea.
What the book said. Right. And so I think that was one of my biggest struggles. I had worked in the field for 2 to 3 years, and then I had collected all my hours. Then I was going to go in and take the test, which I did. But I got inundated with what's actually happening in the field. Okay. And so I learned that I started to adjust to say, hey, maybe the best thing to do here is to then make sure that you take the exam as soon as you get out of the grad program. And that's what I encourage all my supervisees to do now. Don't work into the field first.
Makes sense to me. All right. Well, that was painless, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's been
Thank
so
you.
awesome. Yes.
Thank you for the
it's
invite.
awesome.
Miss West.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah, it's
appreciate
my
it.
We
pleasure.
love what you're doing.
Y'all knew it was happening eventually.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You know, session
Tommy.
10, and we finally have the answers on the.
Oh my
on
But
the
we are
couch.
proud. We are
We're,
proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
We
Thank you.
are.
I'm probably gonna
like
take
what
a
you're
break
doing.
after this because I just need just a little bit of a
Okay.
break. This
To
internship
regroup.
is yes.
Mm-hmm.
The internship is a lot, and so
Yeah.
I need all the time I can get to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you all allowing me to
Absolutely.
study under your great staff and
Yes,
learn
ma'am.
from you all as well in the process. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Yes,
Do you have
thank
anything you want to share to our viewers about Peaceway and how they can reach out, how they can contact anybody here for services?
Yes, we're located at 2405 Bemis Road, Valdosta, Georgia. We also can be found on the web at www.peacewaycms. That's CharlieMikeSam.com. And you can reach us at 229-333-2351 for any questions about any services, programs, etc.
All right. Awesome sauce. And that's DUI, if you need DUI classes.
Yes.
DUI classes, premarital counseling,
Yes.
marital counseling, depression, stress, anxiety,
Grief.
couples conflict, grief, all of those things. I see somebody got a thumbs down there. I'm assuming that they must be talking to somebody else because they can't be thumbing down anything that we're talking about here.
No. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I love y'all. I'll
Thank
see
you.
y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you, Mariana.
Yes. All right,
Bye,
you guys.
guys.
Thanks so much for tuning
Take care.
in.
Bye.
You don't feel questions there, Mr. West, from the audience?
Let me see. That's what I was looking to see. No, I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Nope, no questions. All right.